Welcome to another episode of the Awakening with Kelvin Phiri Podcast, where we discuss the pressing issues shaping our nation and our continent. Today, we turn our attention to a crisis that has affected thousands of Zambians in recent weeks, the devastating floods in Lusaka. This is not a new problem. Flooding in Lusaka has a long and tragic history, with records dating back to the early 20th century. We will explore how this crisis has persisted for generations, what steps can be taken to prevent future flooding, and how the government and individuals can work together to find lasting solutions. The history of flooding in Lusaka. Lusaka's vulnerability to floods is not a recent phenomenon. As early as 1918, experts had already identified it as a flood-prone area, raising concerns about its suitability for large-scale settlements. Over the decades, major floods have struck the city, causing destruction and loss of life. Notably, the floods of 1977 to 1978 were among the most devastating, resulting in the deaths of 11 people and widespread displacement. More recently, we have seen repeated incidents of severe flooding due to unregulated urban expansion, poor drainage systems, and changing weather patterns. Today, we find ourselves in yet another crisis, with thousands affected and communities left vulnerable. What can be done to prevent future flooding? So how do we stop this from happening again? Experts and urban planners emphasize the need for a multi-pronged approach. Urban planning and regulation. Authorities must enforce building regulations to ensure houses are not constructed on natural waterways and drainage paths. Proper zoning laws should be reinforced, and illegal settlements in flood-prone areas should be relocated with alternative housing solutions provided to affected residents. Government agencies must collaborate with urban planners to create long-term sustainable city designs that accommodate population growth while mitigating flood risks. Draining system overhaul. Lusaka's drainage infrastructure needs urgent upgrading. Many drainage channels are poorly maintained, blocked by waste, or too narrow to handle the increased water flow. Investments in modern drainage systems, including underground tunnels and stormwater reservoirs, are necessary to accommodate heavy rainfall. Regular maintenance of existing drainage channels should be prioritized to prevent blockages that worsen flooding. Sustainable development, green spaces, wetlands, and buffer zones must be maintained to absorb excess water naturally. Deforestation and overconstruction reduce the land's ability to absorb rainwater, leading to excess runoff. Reforestation projects and urban greenery initiatives should be encouraged to mitigate flooding. Policies should also encourage eco-friendly construction methods that minimize environmental impact. Community involvement. Residents must be educated on proper waste disposal to prevent drainage blockages. Community cleanup efforts, awareness campaigns, and stricter enforcement of waste management policies will help keep drainage systems functional. Local councils should work with communities to create incentives for proper waste management and discourage illegal dumping. These are not quick fixes, but without these measures, Lusaka will continue to suffer from flooding year after year. The government's response and the president's visit. With the recent floods, the government has been under immense pressure to act. President Hakainde Hichilema's visit to the affected areas was a significant moment. He acknowledged that decades of poor planning have contributed to the disaster and announced plans to relocate residents who have built homes on drainage systems. The government has also committed to compensating affected individuals and expediting efforts to improve the drainage network. Was this visit a welcome move? Many Zambians see it as a positive step, as it signals leadership's willingness to take responsibility. Others emphasize the importance of translating these commitments into tangible action. People hope to see a structured and timely implementation of promised infrastructure projects and community support initiatives, ensuring long-term relief and preparedness for future floods. What can Zambians do as individuals? While the government plays a crucial role, citizens also have responsibilities. Here's what we can do. Follow regulations, avoid building homes in flood-prone areas, and adhere to city planning guidelines. If planning to build, consult with urban planners and ensure that structures meet environmental safety standards. Investing in professional advice and compliance with building codes will reduce risks in the long run. Keep our communities clean. Blocked drainage systems worsen floods. Proper waste disposal and community cleanup efforts can make a significant difference. Organizing neighborhood cleanup days, reporting blocked drains to local authorities, and practicing responsible waste management can all contribute to flood prevention. Schools and local institutions should integrate environmental responsibility into their education programs. Adopt sustainable practices. Homeowners and businesses can implement sustainable practices such as rainwater harvesting, permeable pavements, and rooftop gardens to reduce surface runoff and manage excess water effectively. Creating incentives for businesses to adopt green building practices can also contribute to better flood management. Hold leaders accountable. Demand action and transparency from local authorities to ensure flood prevention measures are properly implemented. Attend community meetings, engage with local representatives, and support policies that prioritize sustainable urban development. Zambians should also use social media and other platforms to voice concerns and demand accountability in infrastructure projects. Be prepared for emergencies. Having an emergency plan, knowing evacuation routes, and having a disaster preparedness kit can help families stay safe in case of future floods. Families should be educated on how to react to flood warnings and where to seek shelter in case of an emergency. Closing thoughts. Lusaka's flooding crisis is a wake-up call. This is a problem that requires urgent, coordinated efforts from the government, experts, and every Zambian citizen. If we fail to act, we risk seeing even more severe disasters in the future. But if we come together, we can create a city that is resilient, sustainable, and prepared for the challenges ahead. Thank you for tuning in to the Awakening with Kelvin Phiri podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and join the conversation. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and let's work together for a better Zambia.